Welcome back to that second video. We have left the image and the plane where it was at the end of the first part, and now we'll be checking the taxi and takeoff procedures. We'll be doing probably a bit of climb too. I'll see how it goes, and we'll probably split with other videos to have well-distributed content, not to have like a 3-hour video, obviously. Alright, let's get back to the cockpit. This is where we left off the plane, so now we can unpause the sim and continue where we were. Alright, so we just finished pushback, and we need to prepare the plane for the after engine start procedure. So we have the checklist once again. So what it says is that we have to put the ignition selector back to normal, APU bleed to off, but we didn't really use the EPU as for this video, as we used the ground services. So the air packs are on. This is fine. So right, so now it says ground spoilers arm. There we go. Auto brake maximum. Rudder trim 0. Alright, so we need to check the flight controls. So trim and everything should be to 0. Should we check here? This is the case. You can also press reset to be sure that it goes back to 0. So this is the case, and we're going to, as you can remember, we had in the guess it was in the performance page here the trim settings. So flaps 1 and the trim is up 04. So what we're going to do is check that screen. So let's go and pop up that screen and just set that trim to 04. Alright, there we go, got 04. Always trust that screen instead of what's written here, obviously. Alright, now we've done that, we've got flaps off, that's okay, we put the flaps later on. APU master off, we don't use the APU. And on board, flight controls check. Alright, so let's go get out of the flight controls. We're going to move the stick, and there we go. You see the control surfaces moving. There we go. And we're going to do exactly the same thing for the rudder. Okay, alright, there we go. So we've got full authority on the rudder, so that's cool. And we finished the after engine start. Alright, so now we have the before taxi. Anti-ice as required. It's quite hot outside, so we don't really need it. Taxi clearance, we've got it, obviously. Altimeter set, we already done that. Nose light taxi. Alright, so nose light taxi and parking brake release, and there we go. Alright, so we need to go, alright, parking brake off. There we go. Let's get back to our initial view and get ready and put a bit of power to start taxiing. Alright, we need a bit thrust. Alright, now we've got the plane moving. Usually what you want to do here is, while you're taxiing, is test the brakes. Alright, brakes coming up, so that's fine. You can find the gauge here, I think. If no. Alright, I thought that's only for the parking brake. Alright, so we'll go to holding point. If I remember correctly, it should be Alpha 708. For runway 35 left, so we have to go right now. Always try to have that line centered here in the middle of the two, between the PFD and ND. Sorry, a bit tough on the, a bit rough, yeah. I'm a bit rough on the, let's power down a bit the thrust so we can realign with the center line of the taxi. Alright, so no traffic. Let's go and do a quick external view. We don't really need that much thrust. Okay. We're almost at holding point. We got a little Cessna here. This is part of the GA. Alright. Alright, so first we should hold here on that line and get the clearance to get on the runway. So let's go back to the cockpit. So let's say we've got clearance. Before we do anything, alright, so the checklist says radar to on. This is done. Then brake temperature check. We've got no warning. Okay, so we've got the wheel here. Settings, temperature. Takeoff clearance, we've got it. ATC TCAS to on. Alright, so let's focus on that part. A couple things, so we've already set that to above. And let's set that to TARA, traffic alert, range alert. We'll go with packs actually for that takeoff. We're not going to set those off. Landing lights. On and turnway. Yeah. Lights for the turn. Landing lights, nose light takeoff. That's done. So for the takeoff, and we'll see that later. So let's first let's get it aligned with the runway. A bit of thrust. Now we get flaps 1. Cabin. Let's click there. So we get the crew aware that we're going to take off soon. And takeoff config self-test, and this is passed. Alright, so everything is set up for takeoff, and let's align with the runway.
Approaching 3-5 left.
And that's an external plugin you have here. It's not part of the Toliss. I have a couple plugins installed with Explain, so this is not really a stock install of Explain with the Toliss. I've got a couple of things.
On runway
Some helpers
3-5
for
left.
flights. Alright, so that confirms we're on the right runway, so that's good. Let's put the brakes. Alright, so let's do a quick test, 50% N1 on the engines. You see the spool is quite long, so we need to secure that things are going okay with the engines. Because the worst thing that could happen is getting a major difference in thrust between the two engines. So this is definitely not what we want here. Alright, so release brakes, and let's put the throttles to thrust to flex. Alright, we're at flex. Let's maintain center of the runway. We already shifted a bit left. V1 should come up pretty soon. And V1 and rotate are the same speed, obviously. Rotate. Positive climb. Gear up. Alright, let's focus on the flight director right now. Ground spoilers. We'll disarm that. So we confirm takeoff over. We've disabled the ground spoilers. We'll wait for the climb. The PFD should flash saying that you should go climb settings on the thrust lever. Alright, climb. We'll and fly a bit the plane until we reach we soon have we'll take a couple we take a bit margin for the flaps before we retract them actually. Alright, now we reach for the slats. Alright, let's wait for 190 to 100, should be okay. Alright, retracting flaps. The plane will slowly get to 250 until we reach the flight level 100, which is the thrust speed limitation. And we're high enough now. Barometer should now ask for standard, which is the case. Let's set that to standard barometer. We're past 5,000. And autopilot to 1. Autopilot engage and confirmed on the PFD. Alright, so now it's just about monitoring a bit what's happening. So flaps up, we confirmed PAX is already on. And so now for the ice, anti-ice is required, we don't really need it. Altimeter is set. Passing 10,000, we'll disable the lights, so we'll wait for that. Taking a bigger step in terms of vertical speed, so that's good, meaning that we climb quite fast enough. We'll see. I could have gone through the flight plan here to check exactly what's happening on the flight plan. I have not done that, to be honest. That's part of the procedure usually pilots go through to check the plane. Check the flight plan, sorry. Alright, passing 10,000. Put all lights back to off. So now you should see, if we go to the external view, that lights are retracting. Now we've passed 10,000, the plane will try to go to the managed speed. So it will be, as we can see here on the performance page, climb. So we set a cost index of 20, which means that it's going to target 3 or 4 as a IS speed, and 75 for the Mach. So anytime the Mach speed will go over the 300, it will revert to Mach speed anyway. You already have the top of climb calculated here on the ND. You can see that already. And we'll be reaching soon enough the top of climb. If you want to go and do a couple things, For example, you want to go straight to Mokip, for example. It's pretty straightforward. Just select Mokip here and go insert, and we'll go from present position straight to Mokip. You can show up the flight constraints, well, the flight plan constraints. One thing you could do here too is, I've not said that, but you can set the timer here just to have your time of flight. You can set that on the first officer, the terrain on ND, navigation display. So you have the visualization of the terrain. There's no rain or thunderstorm planned right now on the flight plan. Alright, so we'll continue the climb. And we'll see you once we're in cruise, ready to descend. I'm sure it's really interesting for you guys to watch out, to watch all the things we need to do right now in the cockpit while we're cruising. Alright, see you in a bit for the next part, being the climb, reaching top of climb, and certainly the top of descent to prepare our descent to Charles de Gaulle Airport. Alright, see you soon, guys.